Hello, this is Aroms Aigbehi, and today we started with a bit of technical difficulties, and most of you see that I have a black shirt on. My wife bought the shirt for me a long time ago. Nobody died, because I know that a lot of people, especially we black people, when somebody has a black shirt on, they say, somebody don't die. Nobody died, Luckily, everybody's still alive. The reason I have the black shirt on is that I just love having the shirt on once in a while. So, and secondly, it is very good for the lighting, because sometimes when you try to light a camera and you put on a white shirt and something light, and because of your darker face, the camera struggle with the light, with the correct light setting. But if you wear something darker and you have a darker skin, then the light is much more controlled. So it's what we call a white balancing in the camera. People who are in the industry knows what it is. So sometimes I just don't want to take the trouble of fiddling with the lighting, so I just put on a darker shirt because it is more easier to work with. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about the damages the pastors in Nigeria are doing to the people, and this is a very serious matter. This is a very serious matter because I believe that everybody, the life of the African, the life of the black person, and the life of Nigerians can be transformed within few years if only we just learn to follow the scriptures the way it was written and not the way these current quack pastors are cooking it up for us. So with that sharp introduction, I'd like to welcome all of you who are here and who are going to be listening to this video. Today I'm going to be starting from the point 6 and go through all the other points that we discussed previously. No, new points, not the points we discussed previously. I'm going to be telling you new points, new powerful points that you need to know about the pastors of today and how they are destroying the lives of the African. It is very important that this information is put out there. Okay? Now, number 6 is, basically I wrote them down because I didn't want to forget anything, is that what they are doing is actually a disservice to Christ and Christianity. Now, what I mean by that is, today, a lot of people are disillusioned by the churches because, first of all, the pastors are making false promises to people, and these promises don't come true. Some people try to pretend that the promises have come true. Like, one of the major promises they often do is that if you sow, and if you sow 10%, God will give you abundance, million times more. This is not true. This is not true. The type of soul that they are talking about is not even the soul that the Bible talk about to sow. Sowing in the Bible can mean different things. For example, sowing can be a spiritual sowing. Like if somebody is in need spiritually, mentally, and you come up to assist that person, you are sowing in the eyes of God. Sowing was never meant to be only financial sowing. One could sow financially, but not necessarily in the church. Like today, I'm teaching people how to sow, but they are sowing in the stock market. They are sowing in investments. Because personally, when I was growing up, I did not have somebody who taught me about investment, about sowing, so that I can reap from it when I get older. If I had somebody like most people have me today, then I wouldn't have suffered the way I suffered to make my money, to make my living. And all the suffering that I took my wife through, I took myself through, I wouldn't have done that because I would have known better. So that is why one of the things I do today is to teach people how to sow in the financial world so that they can make a living. And I give you a typical example. I teach, if I want to buy something, like if I want to, when I was in Florida one day and I was browsing the website from Amazon.com and I saw a very beautiful shoes from Nike. Cost $160 for Nike. And the reason why I wanted that shoe was because I used to jog and I didn't have the shoe to jog. So my shoe had worn out and I needed a new one. But I find $160 too much money to buy a jogging shoe. So I said, you know what? I'm going to trade the Nike stock, and when I make the $160 from Nike, I'm going to use it to buy their shoes. So I opened my trading account, took a look at Nike. I thought, there's a good position there I can take. So I took a position. 5 days later, I made $280 from Nike. So I went to the market, and guess what? I bought 2 Nikes. I bought for myself, I bought for my wife. To buy that Nike shoes did not cost me $1. Okay? Because I traded the stock to buy that shoe. Okay? Now, the poor man, what he does is that he go to his account or go to his credit card, take the money that he earned and go and give it to Nike. So that is how companies like Nike, companies like Apple, companies like Amazon, all these big companies that are super big, they are collecting all the money from all the poor people and cycling it back to the rich people. So the money that you spent to buy iPhone last year for $800, guess where that money went to? A part of it actually went to my pocket. Because the money goes back to Wall Street, the stock market, and people who invest in the market, they are the ones that are making the profit. So when you want to know where your iPhone money went, where your Nike money went, where all these things went, it went to the swimming pool and the Mercedes-Benz and the expensive holidays and the private jets of people who are sowing in the stock market. Okay? So that is the theory of sowing. And that is why people like me can be talking to you today. I can talk to you for the next 10 years. I will still be making money because you are not paying me for what I do, but I invest my money. I sow my money somewhere else, and that money is making money. Okay? That is how you sow. But today, the pastors are teaching people to bring the little money they have and give it to them. And for them, that is what is called sowing. That is not sowing at all. That is deceit. That is manipulative. That is, trickery to keep people poor. To keep people poor, in poverty. That is why today, a lot of people, a lot of black people, and a lot of Africans, a lot of Nigerians, the absolute majority of Nigerians are living below poverty because they don't understand how the world works. They are pastors. Most of them also don't understand how the world works, but the few that understand how the world works just refuse to tell their people because they are afraid if they tell the truth to their people, they will lose grip, that stranglehold they have on their people, they will lose it. Therefore, you don't tell people the truth. Now, is that Christ-like? Is that if Jesus was alive today, would he hide the truth of the proper method to sow from the people? The answer is no. If you read the Bible very well, you know that Jesus Christ never hoarded information from his people. He said everything he had needed to say to make their life better. That is why when you go to the church and the pastor tells you to sow for him, and that miraculously God will now give you 1,000 times more, the pastor is lying to you and is deceiving you and is keeping you in poverty. Meanwhile, Mr. Aroms doesn't go to the church to sow in the church. No, he sows in the stock market. There are other people, they sow in the farm, they sow in the real estate, they sow in cryptocurrencies, they sow in the mining industry. Some are even sowing right now in the development of renewable energy. That is how you sow, and not going to the church to sow to the pastor and then hoping that 1,000 folks will come. So now the question is, how many times did that happen? And if it is true that it does happen, how come that the majority, the absolute majority, 90% of the people that are in Nigeria are poor? Didn't they sow enough? If you see what the pastors get every month, I told you a while back, the Nigerian pastors, they siphoned out over $300 million from the people, that small country. That is what they are siphoning out from the poor people every month. Now, let's assume it is people who sow with that money, okay? So why didn't God, multiply now that 300 million by 1,000 times in the economy? Do you know when God should have multiplied that 300 million a month by even 10 times, By 10 times, it will be 3 billion, okay? In the Nigeria economy, at the end of 12 months, it is, you just try to calculate that. How much God would have multiplied that money to, and how much it will add to the Nigerian GDP, if it is true that God multiplied the money. Now, if it would take Nigeria GDP should have been equal to the United States GDP by now. Only from the money you have given to the church every month that God really multiply it like the pastor says is going to do in your pocket, then Nigerian GDP was equal to the US GDP by now. But we all know that the Nigerian GDP has actually dropped. This last year, Nigerian GDP was $405 billion, okay? And it dropped from 520. So the GDP of Nigeria is not growing, but it's actually deteriorating. And the reason why people have no food to eat, people are hungry in Nigeria today, is because the GDP is deteriorating as we are speaking right now. Well, I don't want to make this conversation a conversation about economics, but to show you what I'm talking about, it simply means that the value of the money you are taking home today, if you are in Nigeria, even when they give you 100 naira, the 100 naira is not the same as it was 3 years ago. It has devalued, seriously. And everybody that is in Nigeria knows why. Why was this? And one of the serious problems in that country has been created by the pastors in the economy, because the people are not working. So that is one of the major things. Not people are staying in perpetual poverty because they are sowing in the wrong way. They are not even sowing the way Jesus Christ told them to sow. That is not what the Bible says people have to sow. What I want you to do in my last video, I'm going to be telling you the proper way to sow. The proper way to sow so that one day you will become a millionaire and you will be able to control your destiny and control and create wealth. The way this is being done by the pastors are telling Nigeria, it is destroying the economy of the people, and that generally destroys the whole economy of a nation and the entire black race. Okay. So in that deceit, we are talking about a disservice to Christianity. But what does that do? Today, because of that disillusion, people have donated money, they sow seed, they've discovered that really, Even when we pretend that God is doubling our money, it's not true. I'm still hungry. I'm still tired. So at the end of the day, they kind of withdraw from the churches. So the churches has become a merry-go-round where people come in and then after some time they step out. New people come in, they step out. New people come in, they step out. The churches are not really saving souls. They are not saving souls. Like, look at the country like Nigeria. How many Muslims have the Christians converted in Nigeria? That is what we call winning souls. Not going to people who are already Christians and dragging them. You come to my church. You want to come to my church. You come to my church and keep dragging Christians already. People who were one time or the other, like me, Christians. They were born by Christian parents or they grew in a Christian place. They were Christians. And now these are the ones that the pastors are going to drag. Why not go to Kaduna? And why not go to Borno State and try to convert Boko Haram? That is what Jesus Christ said Christianity is all about. Convert people into the Christianity. So now the Christians, the pastors are telling us that there is a northern agenda in Nigeria to, how do they call it again? To Islamitize Nigeria. So where have you been? Where have the pastors been when people were Islamatizing Nigeria? Why can't they Christianize Nigeria? What did Jesus Christ say? Jesus Christ gave a very, very, very powerful command in, I think it is Matthew 24, verse 14, something like that. He said that go therefore and make disciples of all the nations. So the job of the Christian, the pastor, is to go to the nations and convert people who are not believers. And not keep messing around with people who are believers and cheating them. So these so-called pastors, you won't see them in China. You won't see them in India. You won't see them in, Eskimo country. So, but because India today have 1.3 billion people, or 1.4. India the same thing. So you have two biggest countries in the world that have together over 2.7 billion people, and you won't see these pastors there. Why? Because it is difficult to cheat people there, because they don't believe in God in the first place. Also, in China, most people don't believe in God. Secondly, not that, the real work of Christ has to be done in such countries, but these pastors don't want to do it. These pastors don't want to do the real work of Christ, the command that Jesus Christ said to them, go therefore and make disciples of all the nations. So therefore, you go to Russia, go to China, go to India, because that is where you have the biggest population of people today on earth who don't believe in Christ. That they don't want to do, because that means that they will now live like Jesus. They will live poor. They will start to suffer. They will start to, they might be imprisoned by the system there that's, we don't want you here. What are you? We are atheists, so why are you coming with this Jesus story? We don't want to have it. That is the real work of Christ. So now the pastor can be in China, and he can give you a phone call in Nigeria and say, look, dear brothers, we are in China here suffering. We want to build a new church. We want to convert more people. Please send us some money to be able to buy petrol in our vehicle to travel. That is the work of the Lord. Then you are sowing for the Lord. Not when the man is in Nigeria, the man is buying private jets, the man is riding a Rolls Royce, the man is doing everything. The man is just messing up with the psyche of people, and he say, I'm doing the work of the Lord. Anybody can do that. If that is the route I wanted to take, and I set up a church in Nigeria, I would be the biggest. These guys don't know anything, So if somebody like me set up a church, I will have the biggest church in Nigeria. But I will not be doing the work of the Lord, because that is not what the Bible said. I will be manipulating people and making mess out of their brain. And that shows that the pastors has no love for their followers, because somebody who you love, you cannot manipulate them. Manipulation is a psychopathic behavior. Manipulation in all forms is a psychopathic behavior. It doesn't matter who is doing it. When you are manipulating your wife, manipulating your children, manipulating your husband, your boss, or you are a pastor that is manipulating your followers, that is psychopathic and sociopathic. And I cannot imagine that Jesus Christ said to people, say, go therefore and apply sociopathic behavior and to people. Such a verse doesn't exist in the Bible. So that is one of the major things why, there is what I call the disservice to the people. So all this disservice, what does it do? It simply removes love from the society. If you look at the Nigerian society, the black people society, there is no love in the society. But a lot of black people don't realize that. A lot of black people don't realize that there is no love in their society, because many black people have not lived in a white community. Many white people, black people, even who lives in America and in Europe, they have not lived in a white community. They have segregated themselves. They say, yeah, the white man don't like me, the white person don't like me. But it's not true. They have segregated themselves. So therefore, they don't understand the type of love that is associated in a white community. Like all the communities I've ever lived, they're white community. They started because, I'm married to a white woman, and then automatically you live in a white community. So, and I work so hard. I always live in a nice community. So therefore, I get to understand the type of love that is there. If something has to happen, if any small thing happen, like they say in Nigeria, white man must come and ring your door and say, look, there is your fence fell you're on the other side, or your satellite dish is a little bit loose, or I saw one of your tire on your roof and it looks like it is loose. I think something is going to, you have to check it. People are so caring for each other. People are so busy to try to find out, to try to help each other. And in where I live, in all the community neighborhood that I've ever lived, one day I was walking and people were cars. Normally where I live, you hardly see cars pass by. So suddenly now you see cars on the road waiting. Like, what is going on here? And then you walk in front of them, you see there is a dog family, a family of duck, about 22 of them, a mother duck and a lot of duck. They are crossing the road. So therefore all the cars will wait. Nobody's blowing his horn. Nobody's doing anything. What are they waiting for? They are waiting for the duck to cross the road. So now in Nigeria, you try to wait and you try to say, people, so-called Christians are not waiting for people to cross the road. Christians are not waiting for other Christians to cross the road. They'll blow horn on them, shout at them, kick them. There was even a church bus that wanted to run me out of the road. I was driving the car. The driver was going to church with his people. He was so upset. He wants to run me out of the road. And where I live, people wait for a duck to cross the road. So basically, because the people are disillusioned, the churches have taught their people very bad doctrines. The pastor is not even talking about love. The doctrines of the pastors is not in line with Jesus' principles, the principles of life, which is number one, love. If you read the Bible from Genesis to Revelation, there is one thing that always came up. There's only one major thing. And I have studied this, and I discovered that from Genesis to Revelation, the only thing that was consistent is love. The rope that tie all these scriptures together from Genesis to Revelation is love. You can see it from the creation, how when God created, he made the earth a perfect place, and God said, he said, it was good. God did a checklist and said, it is good. And put a man there, it is good. The man should not live on his own. The man is lonely. Let's give him a woman. And, like that. Even when they sin, God still went there and said, okay, look, what can I do? They are my children. I cannot kill them. God still give them a cloth to put on. So if you go there, and then later the Bible said, God, because of his kindness and his love, he gave his only begotten son to die for the sins of mankind. That is, so the rope, the line that ties everything up in the Bible is love. But what do the churches in Nigeria do today? That is now the single most important thing that they don't preach. So I discovered that, and most people who have lived in the diasporas, people in Nigeria who have sense, will realize that today in Nigeria, people don't know how to love. People don't know how to love. Some people will say to you, but they don't understand what it means to love. They don't know, they know the words love. A lot of people think love is having sex. That is you love sex. That is what it is. But they don't understand the meaning of love, the way it ties the whole scriptures together, and what Jesus said what love is, what true Christians have to have among each other. There's a scripture that said, look, how do you know true Christians? How do you know the true Christians? And the answer is by their love. From the love they have among each other, then you know that they are my followers. That's what Jesus Christ said. They are my followers. Now you go to Nigeria. The pastor doesn't even love his people. The pastor is only trying to get money out of these people. So there is no love there. So you cannot say, look, the pastor loves his people, because there is no love there. Somebody who is sick, and you say you want to bless that person, and that person is dying, and you are still siphoning the money out from the pocket of that person, they say because you want to bless that person. But the person, you know quite well, as I know, that you don't have the power to bless that person, you don't have the power to cure that person, and you know that that person needs medical attention. And even then, you are still promoting your financial, gains to reap the last breath out of the life of that person. That is wickedness. There is no love, and that is sociopathic behavior, and it is in the borderline of psychopathic behavior. And that is what is destroying the life of people today in black communities. And not only that, after that is done, a lot of people have actually died. They've actually died because they have been, for problems that can easily be solved, they have been referred to prayer houses. Pastor will pray for them, and whereas if they just have gone to their local doctor, this is not a major issue. So people get disillusioned. People have been beaten up so much that they are confused, they're disillusioned. And that is what I call disservice to the Lord Jesus Christ and disservice to humanity. And that is one of the promoter of poverty in the black community, in the black world. Okay, so the next one is basically promoting of lies in the society. The people that lie the most today is not politicians in Nigeria. Because the politicians, they just say things they are going to do and they never do it. That's not a lie. I tell you, I'm going to build a road from Lagos to Kaduna when I become a governor. So you believe me? When I become a governor, I just forget it. Don't do it. This is what we call amnesia. They just say things they don't do. That is a politician. This is what the pastor does. The pastor lies and lies and lies and manipulates the people. The pastor will tell people that God spoke to him, whereas he and I know that no God was speaking to him. The pastor will tell you that they can see into your living room, and they saw the boyfriend that you brought home last week. They saw the juju you had in your hand, where you put it. They will tell you different things. And sometimes these things are true. And that will just take the people in, bam. Okay, let me reveal to you today how some of these things are done. Pastors these days, they have gone sophisticated. In the past, what the pastors used to do, fake pastors used to do, is that they have a network of spies that they will spy on you. Some pastors will even send somebody to go and break into your house, to go and read your documents, to go and find out the letters you receive from the banks, how much you owe the bank, how much you owe in something, if you have a fight with anybody. All these things the pastors used to do in the past to gather information about you, so that once you come to the church, they can use that information and say, hey, I saw very dark cloud above your head. I saw a dark cloud above your head. There's a woman called Janet. She is 28 years old. Come up. And then Janet will say, that is me. Janet will run to the stage. I see a dark cloud over your head. You have credit card debts. Credit card debt. The Lord told me you have credit card debt. $28,000. All this information is true. Most of you know that I'm a computer engineer. One of the things that we do, I'm the good guy. So I did computer risk management. I'm a professional in it. I did it for years. So what we do is that there's one thing we call in the computer security business, and that is hacking. Everybody knows. Okay? Hacking, everybody knows that. Okay, not that people understand it, but they know what hacking is. They hack a computer, hack these things. But one thing people don't understand is what we call social engineering. Okay, social engineering. That is even more powerful than hacking. Okay, I was trained in the art of social engineering. You can get more information out of people through social engineering than hacking their computers. Now, basically, what social engineering does is that you, I'm not going to teach it, but I'm going to explain what social engineering is. In the computer industry, when people, we used to go to companies and find out how secure their network was, how secure their computer system is. You can have all the secure computer system in the world, but if I can walk into your company and take control of your system without anybody stopping me, all the security you are building on the outside is useless. So company will actually hire us to see how far we can go into their company. So one day, what I did was, they had hired me to break into a television station and see what I can do. So I went inside, I came to the door, and the first thing I did was what we call piggybacking. What the piggybacking is that you don't have a pass to open the door, because you have this pass. When you swipe it to the door will open, somebody will go in. So you start a chat with a pretty lady. You say, so when the lady gets to the door, try to open the door. So they open the door, and then you try to do this. I left you are still looking for your pass, because now that lady doesn't want to break the conversation with you. She opened the door for you, and you come inside. Thank you very much. I must have left mine in the car. You don't have any door key that you left in the car. So I went into the building. I went around, and I went inside their news department, because there was 8 o'clock news. It was in the morning, 10 o'clock. And at 8 o'clock, you have the 8 o'clock news. But nobody was in that studio. So I went there, carried their most expensive camera that was worth $200,000, put it in the bag, zip it up, carried the camera, started carrying it. So when I got to the exit, When I went to the exit, because if you are carrying heavy stuff, you go through one narrow man trap, but your equipment has to go into another door. So I called the security man and said, hey, excuse me, can you please help me take this thing out because it's too heavy for me. I just want to, he said, okay, thank you, sir. So I walked out and the security guy took that equipment for me and brought it outside and carried the camera, and I went out into the parking lot where I met the head of Department of Security, because it was a setup to see how far I can go to, through social engineering. Just by talking sweet to people, I was able to do that. So why did I tell you that story? That I understand how to social engineer people. Now, because it's a special subject you study in information security system, and so that you can know how to prevent that. So we give training to people on how to prevent and social engineering. Now, this is how the pastors are doing it. The pastor have agents that are trained, because these days there are training materials for it all over the place. These pastors can employ somebody like me to train their people on how to social engineer people and get information out of them that they don't even know that this information is being taken out from them. Now, another thing is, another trick they use is what we call unfairness. What we mean by that is this. If I tell you, I give you a number, and I say 3, and then I said, what will I add together? I'll give you a simple example that people know. If you want to send money through Western Union, they tell you, you give a question. You have to ask a question that only the receiver will be able to answer. So you say to the person, where is my favorite holiday spot? Because the other person knows that. You don't have, the person at the Western Union's counter doesn't know the answer. And you don't even have to tell the other person the answer, but that person can infer the answer based on the experience they have with you in life. They know where your favorite holiday spot is. That's what we call unfairness. There are so many things about you that if I know them, then I'll be able to answer very big questions about you that you have not even told me before. Okay? You see I have a ring, okay? It's a ring. So what do you infer from that? That I'm a married man, okay? So the ladies, when the ladies see me, okay, they look at my hands, my fingers, they say, let's stay away from this man. They infer, I don't tell them that I'm married, they infer that this man must be married, okay? But, so there are so many things, there are so many ways that you, ordinary person, can even infer things from other people that they didn't tell you. It's like a lot of women knows when another woman is pregnant. Why? They can infer from the behavior of the other woman that, this woman might be pregnant now, and most of the time they are right. That's what we call unfairness. You don't need to be a witch for that. You don't need to be a pastor for that. But now, the pastors, they use these skills as well that they have learned to infer things from people and mesmerize them. And people start to bow, this man is good, he's a man of God. And then some of you might tell me, what of the more sophisticated things they are doing? That is what I'm going to tell you about now. You see, the pastors are hacking into your mobile phones. The pastors, they are hacking into your television. They are hacking into your computers. Pastors, they are employing hackers today. They are employing people like me, because it's a warfare. The pastors see this as a warfare between them and you are losing. Okay, you are losing very miserably because you don't understand how it works. So today, if you have a computer, every computer has a webcam. Okay, I can hack into your computer and I will put on your webcam without you knowing. If your webcam is on it won't burn, the light won't show. So you cannot tell that the webcam is on, yes or no. The pastors are using that to monitor what you do in your own house. Another thing they are doing is that they can put on remotely the microphone of your mobile phone and listen to what is going on in your living room, in your bedroom. A lot of people don't know this. Even people who are listening to me today, maybe one or two people have heard about this. This is what the pastors are doing this. I can do it. And pastors are employing people like me, even people who are much better than I am in the business to be doing this. Okay. Many of you already know that your whole life is on social media. So pastors, they have agents that are your friends on your social media page, on your private Facebook page. And a lot of people just don't know how to lock down their pages on Facebook. So they accept everybody as friends. This is my friend, this is my friend, this is my friend. So the pastors have agents that are your friends on Facebook. So all your private method, things you talk about, your pictures that you are putting on Facebook, everything you are doing on Facebook, things you are discussing with your friends, they all know about all this stuff. And if you are a guy like me, I can even create a computer algorithm that automatically do all these things and just tell me through artificial intelligence what your problem is. Okay, I'll give you an example. I can tell you what disease you have. I can tell you if you have a marital problem, yes or no. Am I doing it in the name of God? No. I'm just doing it in the name of Google. Because most people today, if they want to do anything, where do they go to? They go to Google. Say, Google, how do I kill my husband? So, excuse me. So, Google will answer it from there. Because if you go and Google now how to kill somebody, Google has answer. If you Google what is the type of poison you can use to kill somebody without detection, Google has the answer. You know, Google is like a knife, double-edged sword. You can use it for good, you can use it for bad. So you Google all these things. You Google also, where do I get a loan? How do I get out of debt? How do I satisfy my husband? How do I become an attractive person? All these things you are Googling. Okay. But what you don't know, maybe, is that Google stores all these things you have Googled in your computer. So now the pastor employs me and say they want to target you because you have some money. So what do? I hack into your computer or your mobile phone and I extract all this Google search out of your computer. And it doesn't take a rocket scientist for me to know that you have a marital problem, you owe $28,000 and you just bought a dress last week from Amazon.com and that you are planning for a divorce because you've Googled a divorce lawyer. Okay, so I give this information to the pastor and the pastor gives me $5,000 for a good work because once they squeeze you, they're going to get more out of it. So go to the next target. That is how this stuff is done. In the espionage industry, it is also used for espionage. It is used to blackmail people. You caught somebody naked with another woman because the information was on his laptop, and then you send him a copy of the information and say, look, I want you to pay up. Otherwise, the press will hear this information. This is blackmail. It's against the law. But what the pastors are doing is not against the law. That is the problem. You know, it is against the law to break into somebody else's computer, but it is not against the law to collect information that is in the public domain. Okay, so, and it is easy if to track somebody in the public domain and use that information to pretend that God has spoken to you about that person. And it is even more easier to hack a mobile phone to listen into everything that person have done the whole day. All the conversation that person has with the mother, the one he has with the boyfriend, the one he has with his wife, everything, can be copied, and the pastor can rule your life through that. And it is happening today. I'm not going to give you name of pastors that are doing it, but if these pastors stop, they listen to me, they know that I understand their business. And if they see me, they will quiver. They will quiver. Because this is what I'm telling you, I can also do it against the pastors. Because in the world of espionage, hacking, and social engineering, these guys are kids. Really, honestly, these guys are kids. But their audience, are in the kindergarten. So they are able to mesmerize the audience with the little they are doing, using the technology to deceive and cheat and lie in the name of the Lord. Now, I can go on for a year, okay? Because this is my life. I grew up studying information technology. I grew up studying, information technology, risk management, security. I did job for the NATO. That is, the NATO is like the highest you come in computer security. That's where you are on one side and the Russian government is on the other side. I worked for the United Nations. I worked for the European Union. Some of the system that is run by the European Union, I helped design it and set it up, in security wise. So the next day you go with your ATM card, they wrote MasterCard on it, and you go and put it and get money, then think about me. Because some people like me ensure that you can take your money without losing everything you have. Okay? So social engineering or using simple technology to mesmerize people is a piece of cake. It's a piece of cake. So imagine if I was a pastor in Nigeria with what I know, I will have the biggest church. I always say, people think I am a man to the talk. I will even open the Bible. I will have the biggest church. Because by the time I tell you your last doctor appointment and what the doctor said to you, how you reacted, and that the angel was standing next to you there, and that angel told me all this information, you will be laying on the floor by yourself. I will even push you. You will just lay. I will tell you to go and sell your car. Bring the money, you will bring it. That is lie. It is one lie after the other, one lie after the other, one lie after the other. And that is how the lies are being propagated in the Christian, so-called Christian churches today. And the pastors are the biggest problem, because the politicians don't do that to you. Okay? How people say politicians are liar. They don't really lie, they just tell you things they don't do. Okay? But the real chronic liars that need rehab, they are the pastors. Pastors, that they want to go into your private life to dig out information and use it to blackmail you, use it against you, use it to manipulate you, outright lie to you that Jesus told them. Jesus revealed these things to them and say, for God's sake, don't Jesus have something else to do? People just look at it and think, Jesus is only the earth, is the only thing that Jesus has to take care of. That is how myopic people think. There's only the earth that Jesus has to take care of. But they never thought about the possibility that the earth is just a drop of sand. One sand, and go outside now and take a sand. One sand. That is how the earth is not even that big in the universe. The earth is not as big as a grain of sand in the universe, and that is where you are. Now, you want to tell me that the God of the universe has nothing else to do than go from one person to the other, especially in Nigeria, watching them, telling the pastors what they are doing. Haba, 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 haba. You know how many angels there are there? The Bible said that when the devil left heaven, he took myriads of angels out of the heaven. Go and Google it, what a myriad is. It's not 1 million. It's not 10 million. These are serious numbers. So that is just a small part of the angels that were there. Where do you think the rest are? Somebody is in charge of those angels. And it's Jesus. And we don't even know there might be other civilizations like us somewhere else in the universe. We cannot see them. God has created them to be so far away from us that we can do all we can. We cannot see them. For crying out loud, there might be another dimension where people live, because the angels, they already live in a different dimension. That's why we cannot see them. So have you ever thought about the possibility there's another dimension? And then there is the scientists have discovered at least 9 different dimensions. And that each dimension can have also different universes. And each universe can have an earth in them where people live. And that same Jesus is the chairman of all this creation. And now you want to tell me that same Jesus is now in Nigeria going to people's bedroom to find out who they are sleeping with, if that person is really their husband, yes or no. And my gullible people are just devouring all this nonsense. So it is time. So this lie is destroying our society. And that is why today in Nigeria, you hardly find somebody that will tell you the truth, the absolute truth, the way it is. Everybody has an angle. Nigerians are so used to lying that if you go to a Nigerian and ask him, say, look, I want to go to, Uromi market. Which road do I take? And the man has absolutely no clue the road where you are, where you should travel to. But he will lie. He will tell you, go that side. We were in Abuja a few years back, and we were going to the German embassy because we had a meeting there. And we didn't know how to get there. There was no GPS in Nigeria then. And so we got there, and then we said to one man, say, how do you get to the German embassy? He said, just go straight, then you go left and right. So we drove a while, and then that was not true. So we met another guy. How do you get to the German embassy? The guy looked at us. Just go that way, and go that way, and go that way. It turns out that the last guy was right. But the first guy didn't know, but he just lied. All this lying, these things are originating from the churches. Because somewhere, that is how psychology works. Deep down in your subconscious, inside, you know that somebody is lying to you in the church. Deep inside, deep, you know that somebody is lying to you. But your outside, your outside consciousness, you don't want to accept that somebody is lying to you. And that is a different story. I will talk about it in the future, why that is like that. So the man in Abuja who directed us that way, go that way, he knew inside that na story, don't be there embassy day. By the way, he doesn't even know. He knows inside, but from the outside, he doesn't want to show us that, look, he didn't know. Because for him, that is for him an embarrassment now. In Nigeria, you say, I don't know. That's a big embarrassment. How can you say you don't know? You must know. So, that is the same thing when the pastor is lying to you, lies to you. You know now, deep inside, because since how many times has God tripled your wealth? How many times has he opened the floodgate of the heaven that you had $1 billion? If you had $1 billion, how come you're still begging somebody to give you money from Europe, from America? You're still rolling on the floor. Please, oh, I beg, my child is sick. I don't see money to go hospital. And you're going to borrow 20,000 naira to give to the pastor. And God has not tripled your finances. You still get a lot in the bank, and they will tell you that you are now owing 150 naira because they debited another 60 naira from your account last week. So it's just nonsense. So every Nigerian has the ability to know that this is just nonsense. But subconsciously, they don't want to know that because they know that their whole life will just collapse. Because they don't have hope anymore. For a lot of Nigerians, for a lot of black people, the church is the last resort. They have suffered and suffered and suffered and suffered in life that the church is the last resort. So if that collapse is depression now, total depression, anarchy. They don't have money to buy alcohol to calm them down. They don't want to smoke weed. They don't even have the money to buy weed to calm them down. So it is total destruction. I'm not saying to go and buy weed or go and smoke, drink alcohol. I'm just telling you what some people do in advanced country to calm themselves down. And the African man doesn't even have the money to do all that. So it's depression. And a lot of people are already depressed in that country, in Africa, and all these people, because of all the lies. So now we live in a community of liars. Okay? And people don't tell each other the truth. And it originates from the pastor. And pastor is, and people still don't, there are still people who are still arguing. Say it's not true. It's blasphemy. Why are you doing this? So the next one is destruction of, yesterday I talked about the destruction of friendship. So I'm not going to talk about it today again. So promotion of ignorance in the society. Chances are that most of the things that the churches are telling you is totally false. It has nothing to do with reality. In fact, you are living in a phantom universe. Because there are basic things that in science that, these things are explanatory, self-explanatory. If you Google them, Google will tell you these things. It's not a secret. But the pastor makes it sound like, this thing has never happened before. Okay? Everything in the Western world has an explanation. And the explanation has nothing to do with God, with every other thing. And it's scientific explanation. And the explanation is really there. It is not a fake explanation. Let me give you a simple explanation. When I was growing up, we were told that we have if you live long, that the earth will live forever. The earth as we see it now will be here forever and ever and ever. And I used to believe that. Until when I was studying astrophysics, I studied that. And then I discovered that there is a law they call the law of entropy. What the law of entropy says is that they have been able to calculate it with computer. Now, I'm not going to get it more advanced because otherwise people will go crazy or just start losing people in this conference. The law of entropy said that everything that you see, everything that is made will deteriorate. Everything, and it's true. Everything that is made will deteriorate. There is a law of entropy. So if you have a stone, leave the stone there after so many years, that stone will get smaller and smaller and smaller until it's pulverized. So all the sand that you see in Nigeria now, all the sand you see in the world, go to the Sahara Desert. There used to be a part of a stone or a part of a rock. It has all been disintegrated, so you have one big pile of sand everywhere. There's the law of entropy. The law of entropy also say that if you have a sun, like our sun, our moon, the sun will get bright and bright and bright and bright and bright. And as it gets brighter, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Until it's so hot, it will blow itself up. And is that true? It is true because we have other suns in the universe that have blown themselves up. And that is, our sun is doing the same thing again also. It's going bigger and bigger. But these are science, and you can prove it. And these days we can see it, we can measure it. We have scientific evidence to prove these things. So that means that, look, one day, it may not be tomorrow, not be next tomorrow, not be 1 million years time, or won't be even 1 billion years time, but one day, the earth, the way we know it, the law of entropy applies to the earth also. And that is why you get older and older and older. You see this deep wrinkle in my face? It was not there 30 years ago. It's because of the law of entropy that I'm gradually disintegrating. And everybody gets disintegrated until one day we just die. And that is why Jesus Christ said, flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom where he is going. Because we have flesh and blood. It disintegrates. It will one day completely disintegrate. That is science. So now a pastor will come to you and tell you things that are simple things. This is even complex material, what I'm telling you today. That we even have scientific evidence to prove that. But the pastor will come to a typical Nigerian and say, give them one very, 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 very stupid story, and they will believe that. I'll give you an example. Somebody called me and said they had a farm in Benue State. They planted rice. So before they started, they called me on WhatsApp. I said, look, this business people want to go into now. If I were you, I didn't do it. And they said, why? I said, because one, you have never studied rice farm. You don't know how to plant. You don't know how to fertilize it. You don't know what to do at all. Why are you going into it? This is what he told me. He said they have 20 of them. They have 10 hectares. The pastor has blessed them and blessed the hectares. After they donated, they got money loan from the bank, and they gave 10% to the pastor as tithe. So the pastor came to the farm to bless the whole land. He said, nothing will ever go wrong there. I said, okay, for me, I said, that is not a good reason. So they started making the farm. You know, rice now is 3-4 months, and you will see the result. 4 months later, the man sent me a message on WhatsApp. He said, sir, can I speak with you? I said, anytime. He said the whole farm failed though. So we've lost all our money. I said, what happened? Said they went to call the pastor now. When the pastor came, the pastor said that the demons flew by in the night and harvested all the maize. 10 hectares. Very powerful demon. The first thing that came into my mind is that, why should the demon, what does he want to do with the rice now? Demons don't eat. So how come he just go to a farm and harvest 10 hectares of rice? First of all, the rice didn't even grow properly. But the pastor told them that. So now what has the pastor done? The pastor have kept them in ignorance, as to what happened and why it happened, because otherwise he himself will be humiliated, and they will think, this man is not really a man of God. Though. So to divert the attention away from himself, he now throw the ball back on them and say, this demon was powerful. Now, they set them up again for the next act. You see, in Hollywood, they do that. They call it Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. I studied that stuff too. So you create the first act. You introduce the scene, and then you create emotion. Okay? And then everything is going good. And then something will happen at the end of Act 1. So the hero or the people involved in the program, in the film, they will have to solve that problem in Act 2. Okay? As they are solving the problem in Act 2, then there will be difficulties, there will be challenges. And then by the time they think that problem is almost solved, another problem will come up again. And that problem will be bigger than the first problem. And that problem will need to be solved in Act 3. So when Act 3 starts, then all hell will break loose. You will see the movies they will be playing different type of music, psyching everybody up. And now in Act 3, the people you almost think, they are not going to make it. Oh, they are not going to make it. Oh, and then by the time you think that they are almost done, they will throw in the final obstacle. Boom. And then a good movie maker will throw in another final obstacle in Act 3. And that one will only be solved, will only be resolved at the last minute of that film. Okay? That's what they call the hero's journey in Hollywood movies. Not Nollywood, because Nollywood people don't know that. So now, this same script of making movies, the hero's journey, this is the same script that pastors are using on their people. So these guys, they were on Act 1. So at the end of Act 1, then the demons came in. And these demons now, that problem has to be resolved in Act 2. The Act 2 resolution means more money. Go bring more money, so that because we have to cast out the demon. So these people will go there and bring more money to the pastor to cast out the demon in Act 2. But guess what? The problem is still not going to be solved in Act 2. Even at the end of Act 2, another problem will come up. There will be birds will come and eat the whole damn thing. Somebody will lose a child. Somebody will have a motor accident. Then that has to be resolved again by paying more money to go to Act 3. It is after the end of Act 3 before people sometimes give up. Some other people will give up from church 1. Listen, they will give up from church 1 and then we go to church 2. Because somebody told them that this church better pass. This pastor, when Jesus Christ was sitting in heaven, this guy was eating rice on his table. Go and see him. So then they will start again with Act 1. So for a lot of people, their whole life is just going from one church to the other, repeating the same 3 acts of hero's journey in Hollywood movies, and it never ends. So I get so tired of it. Mr. Aroms gets so tired of it. And this is the ignorance. It can be ignorance, a job. You don't have a job, so the demons are doing it. Now ask myself, when was the last time you got yourself a new certificate? When was the last time that you went to study a new degree? Because it is not just one degree that people need in life. Me, I got plenty. I'm even thinking of doing another degree now. Say, okay, I wanted to do a degree in philosophy. I like that. So I'm looking around universities and my wife is telling me, where do you have the time? So me, I'm trying to find out how to do it fast, how to cram it all together. Maybe I can go to spend 3 months doing it. You see, that is, so you need a new information, knowledge all the time to be relevant, to be valuable in the market. Some people went to school in Nigeria 20 years ago, 15 years ago, and they are still looking for a job with that degree they had 20 years ago. And they find it strange that they are not getting a job. If you had a degree 10 years ago, today I won't hire you in my company because you don't know anything. A degree is just an advanced form of teaching you how to read and write and how to understand complex stuff. That's what a degree is. It is after what you do after getting that degree is what creates the value is that you will be able to give to a company, and that value is what the directors or the people of that company sees. They say, okay, hey, let's give this my job. And after giving the man a job, then you still have to study. It is the study you do privately that maybe you pay for with your own pocket. The one you take free from work and go and do with your own money. The extra exams you did and passed and research you did on your own private time. When the boss now see you doing all that, using that to improve your work efficiency, then they'll promote you and give you more money. That is how it is done. It has nothing to do with Jesus Christ. It has nothing to do with prayer, for God's sake. It has nothing to do with demon. It is you. It is you, man. So, let's just forget the pastor. So the pastor is keeping people in ignorance. The simple disease people have a belly problem. That is the demon is doing it. No, it's not the demon is doing it. Somebody is eating a lot of beef. Too many beef. Beef, if you eat beef too much, it will stay in your intestine for a month and it's not coming out. So you start to rot inside and you are not having what you call stomach problem, but actually your intestine that is aching because there's too much rotten meat inside. And the pastor keep praying. Keep praying. Or you see Nigerian men with big belly. They say the witch put a pot inside. A pot. This gele, we call it the gele or calabash. That is what the witch has put inside his stomach. That's why his stomach is so big. It is not the witch that is doing it. This man is eating too much pounded yam, too much carbohydrate. Carbohydrate makes your belly big and big and big and big until you are the person is 9 months pregnant. That's what carbohydrate does. So, but the pastors now is now casting out the demons from this belly. And they keep hitting the belly, I've seen them do that. Keep hitting the belly. But for crying out loud, the belly is not getting smaller. It's only getting bigger because they hit the belly. The man go home and start eating more pounded yam because the man feels frustrated. If you're frustrated, you like to eat a lot, especially when you're a Nigerian big man. You eat. My wife always asks me, say, why is it that Nigerians will eat big pounded yam? And they will have goosey soup, they will have snake inside, they will have fish inside, we have pomo inside, they will have beef inside, they will have chicken inside, they will have crayfish inside. Why? I say, yeah, but that's when you do that, then you're a big man. Okay? But this is making people sick. Sick. There was a big man I met in Nigeria, he was boasting and said, look, he doesn't eat food from Nigeria. He only eat imported food. Imported food. And not just imported food though, in can. The one they put in can. That is one he eats. I told him, look, cancer will kill you in a few years. Because you are not educated. You are eating food that are preserved. And these food that are preserved in cans are they are not meant to be eaten every day. So that is ignorance. So the day we cancer will hold him, he will go to the church and the pastor will start beating him and praying for him and letting him roll on the ground. It's too late. The knowledge that people need, the accurate knowledge that the Bible said, you know the truth and the truth shall set you free. The pastor is not telling anybody those truths because sometimes the pastor doesn't even know those truths because the pastor is a crook, he's a quack. Does he understand the scriptures? Does he have a proper education? Does he understand anything? General knowledge is zero. So what does he know? So he tells you what comes out of his head. And everybody can make something up. If you're a little bit intelligent, you make story up as you go. But it's not based on fact. So most pastors are ignorant and they create an ignorant followers and you just keep propagating an ignorant society. And then people are wondering why Africa doesn't progress. You can't progress with ignorant people. The world today is working in nanoseconds. That is 1 million nanoseconds make 1 second. And we are trying to work in days. Come on, it's not going to work. It has never worked like that. So, superstition, promotion of superstition, and spiritism. What is done in the churches today, that is just outright spiritism and superstition. Those of you who doubt it, go and do research on spiritism and superstition. If you read the Bible from beginning to the end, there's one thing that God hates the most is worship of idolatry. other idols, worshiping of other gods, believe in spiritism. But people don't understand today that what they are doing in the church is just pure spiritism. If you believe in witchcraft and they are ruining your life, everything you do, you are mindful of witchcraft, but not mindful of the Lord, then you are already involved in spiritism. I know people who never eat food from somebody else. It doesn't matter who the person is. That is some of the most embarrassing thing you can do. Somebody give you, somebody give you cookies, and you take the cookie and put in your own bag. Probably you have not met this person before. Just give you a cookie. It can even be a child. Just say, children like to play. Just give you a cookie. And that cookie, you take it and put it in the bag. You say, I'll eat it later. I will eat it later, my dear. The reason why that cookie is going to the bag is that you are afraid that if you eat that cookie, you'll get sick. Some people are even afraid that when they eat that cookie will go and it will become a human eye inside their stomach. So it will become a frog inside their stomach. That cookie will become a cockroach inside their stomach. Come on, how can a cookie become a cockroach inside your stomach? It is not humanly possible. It's not scientific possible. There's no way that can happen. If you have that cookie, present it to me. I will eat it in front of a camera. And nothing will happen. I always say you have three ways to kill people. One, you poison them. Two, you crush them, like hit it, use a car to crush the person against the wall. That is what we call crush. Two, you put a hole in them. That's what guns do. That's what bullets and cutlass knives do. You put a hole in the person, and then because the body doesn't like a hole. If you put the hole in the right place, the person will die. If you crush the person will die. If you if you poison the body, the person will die. Okay. Apart from this, it's very difficult to keep person. So somebody just say, so now somebody say, when I eat this cookie from a child from nowhere, that is going to grow something in my stomach now. And by the time you go to the church, the pastor will tell you, you ate a cookie one day at the airport from a child. That is the problem. So now an innocent child is now being stigmatized already by the pastor. Because the person has the pain really now. The quack medical doctors in Nigeria have said they don't know what is wrong. So because that's what brings many people to the church in the first place. There's a quack doctor. The doctor don't have a clue what is wrong. So where do we go? We go to the church because we are Christians. When we were not Christian, we go to the native doctor. So we don't do that anymore. We go to the church. But what people don't know is that the pastor is the same as the native doctor, only now he's using the name of Jesus to do it. The native doctor church, the pastor, is also a quack, so he starts praying and telling you a lot of nonsense. And by simple inference and little interview here and there, he finds out that, there was a little child at the Murtala Muhammad airport that gave you a cookie one day. After that cookie, 19 can start. So this creates huge distrust in the society, huge lack of love in the society, because a child that poisons you in your mind, because the pastor said that, how can you love that child? That child must have hated you. So, but the demon also used the child. That is what the pastor said. So there's just demon here, demon here, demon there, demon there, demon there, and that is superstition. So what the Bible dislikes superstition. Go and Google it. You have an online Bible. Just type in superstition. You see how many times God says something about, the Bible says something about superstition. There's no one that is good. Also with spiritism, playing with demons. So the final one is, today what we're going to talk about is time wastage. Hey! Everything that is done in Africa This is one of the biggest problem Africans have. You see Africans all over the world, not only in Nigeria, in Europe, everywhere. African black people are the most time wasters on earth. In my farm, with my farm, we budgeted that people will work for 6 hours, even when they are there for 8 or 9. But they say, okay, if we can just get them to work for 6 hours. But productively, we get them to work for 4. And it's not only my farm. If you go to Nigeria, people who are very productive in Nigeria, they are productive for 4 hours a day. I know many people will say, nah lie, they go work every day. Yes, they go work every day, but you are not productive. 4 hours productivity a day. No nation can succeed like that. There is no economy that will ever grow with 4 hours productivity. Because that economy, those people, they are working in the same world with people, a country where I am, where people are putting in 18 hours a day, 12 hours, and that is productivity and designing and creating stuff. I'm not just saying doing 2 jobs, going to McDonald's 8 hours here, and go cleaning job for another 8 hours there. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about 18 hours of productivity. After I finish this video with you now, I'm going to be making another one on the stock market trading. And after that, I'm going to make a third presentation on stock market. Okay? And then in the evening, I'm going to be teaching people how to create a business plan. So just that is what I'm doing today, and it will be done before 9 o'clock this evening. And I started early this morning. So if you see the massive productivity in one day, one man, so imagine if I have 10 people behind me that are behaving the same. What we are producing. In the same world, that is what Nigerians want to compete with and want to grow economy with 4 hours productivity. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. 4 hours productivity doesn't even allow you to catch up. You are running at the back. You are not even catching up with what is happening. And before you get there, the people who are doing what I am doing, they are already very far. They are far. And guess what? They start to sell you the stuff they have designed. They are new Nike. They are new Mercedes-Benz. They are new cameras. They are new mobile phones. They are selling it to you again. And this small money you have worked for that 4 hours productivity, guess what you're doing with it now? You're not giving it back to them. That is how you have the imbalance in the world economy. Because people think that Nigeria economy is here, America economy here. No, we have a global village. That's what we call globalization. It's a global village. Because you can be in Enugu and you'll be working online, competing with somebody in Texas and competing with somebody in Lahore, in Pakistan. That is how it works. The last time I created a video intro, a guy in Pakistan did it. If you see my face, you see my beautiful logo. It was done by a guy in Pakistan, and it cost me $25, nothing more. Just pay him, and then he did it. Now, if I ask a guy from Nigeria to do it, that logo will not be done. And they will say, oh, it's not even a logo, it's an intro, it's a beautiful intro. The intro will not be done. I will say a lot of excuses, and then at the end, they will even tell you that the $25 is too small. A guy in Nigeria will tell you that $25 for an intro is too small. So he's not even going to do it at all. Whereas the guy in Lahore, Pakistan, he will start with $5 because he has to build up his profile in that website where you get clients that you want to work for. So, and to get clients, you have to start with even free work. That client will give you good marks. This person is very good. You do another one. This person is very good. You do another one for $5. Somebody will, they give you mark until you come and reach $25. And after you reach $25, if you go to the profile of this guy, he has gotten over 1,000 clients. And the guy is a student. Okay? Now, if he learns how to invest, like the type of investment I create, he will be investing half of that money in the stock market and still be paying his school fees. And in 5 years from now, this guy will have $500,000. But the guy in Nigeria, nobody in Nigeria wants to do something for free. Nobody in Nigeria, the $25 is too small. He wants to have $5,000. You cannot do that. Because if you want to pay some people now who are working online, they want to work online. If you want to pay them $100, which is 37,000 naira, some of them will refuse. They will not do it. It's too small. But one thing they don't understand is that I still do things for people for free. Not only for people that are listening to me, my followers, but other people also. So somebody will just ask you something, say, okay, can you do this? Somebody asked me last time, okay, they want to have a business plan. You don't know how to do it. Please, do you have a template? I'm prepared to pay for it. Maybe the person is listening now. I have enough business plan templates. I took one, sent it to him, and said, this is how you use it. And the person was very happy. Did he pay a cover for it? No. I could have said, yes, so this is going to cost you 25,000 naira or 50,000 naira. So if I ask that person now for 25 or 50,000 naira and the person really pay me, what does that do to my pocket today? Nothing. And secondly, what does that do to my reputation? Say, this man, he cannot even give me a simple business plan for free. So I give it to you. And that is what the Bible calls sowing. You sow. Because now I give that person that thing for free. Next time, the person might think, I give somebody else also something for free, or give that person that for free. What could happen next time is that maybe one day in this life, I might come across the person on the way. There are people who, because many people that know me, I don't know them. So I will actually be in the airport and somebody will do something good for me and say, thank you very much, And say, he will greet me in such a way that I say, do I know you? Say, I know you, sir. I know you, sir. Why? Because they have received so much for free. That is what we say. That is how life is built, and that is what pastors are supposed to be teaching people. But not the superstition, not the time of wasting. People are so wasting time because not wanting to do something for somebody for free, or not wanting to even assist somebody for one thing, and rather they prefer to sit down and do nothing. Honestly, do nothing. Okay. But they don't know that, like today, there are people that are bigger than me in the world. Like somebody like Richard Branson, somebody like Elon Musk from Tesla. All these guys are bigger than I am. Because, financially, and, they have run big companies. So if I get a phone call from Richard Branson tomorrow and say, okay, look, Mr. Aroms, come to London. I need to see you for that and that and that. And I need you to help me do this. The first thing that comes into my mind is not how much I'm going to ask Sir Richard Branson to pay me. No, I go there, I discuss it with him, and if there's something I can do for him for free, I do it. But if that is something I cannot do for free because I have to save money to do it, to get it done, I have to travel, then I can ask him, okay, look, this is how much it's going to cost me to go to that place you are sending me to. If you can please pay for the transportation, that will be fine. And he understands also that I cannot use my money to be paying for all the expenses, but it is the willingness to come around. And I still remember Sir Richard Branson was telling a story one day, how one day he received a call from Nelson Mandela from South Africa. Then the man was still alive. Nelson Mandela just said, Richard, can you come and see me tomorrow? And Sir Richard Branson was on holiday in I think it was Austria in the mountains in the winter. So he left. He flew all the way to South Africa to see Nelson Mandela. That is how life is. So even he is doing things for other people for free, people who he have respect for, but also other people under him that he has respect for them also, but he has something he can offer for people to people. He does it for free. It is not always about money, 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 money. Do this money, do this money, do this money. In today in Nigeria, with Africans, because the churches have brainwashed them, everything that you ask people to do, they say, pay in advance. Pay in advance. Only that habit alone is making people to lose so much, especially our people today, and who want to work in the modern world, in international world, because people don't realize that, look, a time is coming, even the little jobs you guys have in Nigeria will be outsourced. It is already so. The biggest banks in Nigeria, their software are written by Indians. They are not written by, maybe there are a few Nigerians inside, but most of the core component of their software is written by Indians. You don't need to, if you have a bank in Nigeria, their system can be running anywhere in the world, but you don't know, you just go there and collect money and go. But their system can be run all over anywhere in the world, and the people working on those systems don't even have to be Nigerians. That is how the world is today. Because those people, they understand how the economy works, how the modern economy works. And in Nigeria, people don't have a clue at all. Even a lot of Nigerians who are in the diasporas, they don't have a clue at all. I am a Nigerian, and a lot of the things I do it, they call it philanthropic. People don't pay me for making all these videos. But most of our people just refuse to do anything to improve, to help with it, with what we are doing. Even when they know that it's philanthropic, people just don't want to help with anything. Okay, so that is, and then this is a philanthropic activity. So that is you see that this man is doing this thing to help our people, to help our people, to help our people. Even then, people don't want to help. But the most important part is that then, when you have a company, people go to work for somebody. You know what they say? They say, "No be my papa work. Now show that they carry him, they carry him for head." But they don't realize that, look, if you don't carry that work for head, that company will fail, that company will collapse. Guess what? You don't have a job anymore. You go to the next company, you carry it on the shoulder, that company will fail, then you don't have a job anymore. So people keep carrying another man's work on their shoulder all the time, on their shoulder. When the shoulder is tired, they put it on his shoulder, but people don't put it on their head. In the Western economy, people carry the work on their head. People carry the work on their head. When I, 20 years ago, I had a salesman. This guy is the best sales manager I ever had. We used to joke about it that this guy could sell sand to people in the Sahara Desert. This guy could sell, ice blocks to people in the Eskimo. This guy was so good, the whole sales department was left to him. Now, this guy carried the work on the center of his head, used rope to tie the load to his head. This guy, we used to work, we work till 12 o'clock in the night at the office together, brainstorming on sales activity, on different activities, because you have to coordinate the sales with the production. This is what we are doing. How is the best way to sell it? We work. I will be tired. This guy will still be coming up with ideas. We work until we get tired 1 o'clock. We will rent a room in a hotel. We sleep there. The next morning, 7 o'clock, we are back to the office. The man carried the load on his head. But what did he gain from that? I gave him at least 2% of all revenues. It doesn't matter whether he sold it or not. He had 2% of all revenues. And that's a lot of money when you have a company that makes millions. 2% of all revenues. Not profit, all revenues. 2% of all revenues. So, and that is what he got. I bought him a brand new BMW because the guy loved BMW. So I told him, go and look for the best BMW you can get. Don't let them just put everything. I paid for it. We're not talking about the bonuses he has. In those days, to have a mobile phone, so you carry a mobile phone, that is big deal. This guy has brand new mobile phones. It used to cost thousands of dollars to buy a mobile phone. This guy worked like a jackass. That is how a business is built. By the time you have people working like that, the business gets built up. A country gets built up like that. For those of you who are not aware, that is how Google was built. That is how Facebook was built. That is how Amazon was built. That is how Nike was built. That is how all these big companies that you see today were built. So somebody that really feels that he can work for 4 hours in a day, efficiently, that person is deceiving himself or herself. It is a bad habit, and that habit needs to be upgraded. It needs to be destroyed, and new habits created. Nobody will ever succeed like that. No country will ever succeed like that. And that's the people who are working. In Nigeria, if you go to the ministries, we have experts in killing time. It's the guys that will come to work at 10 o'clock in the morning and leave at 3 o'clock, and in between, they have a break of 1 hour, and the rest of the time, they are gisting with somebody or on the mobile phone with somebody. Go to the Nigerian Port Authority, go to the Apapa Port. The custom boss, not even the big boss, this ordinary boss, he will come at 10 o'clock in the morning, and he closes at 3. In between, he has an hour break. And then you try to clear your car around that time. And on Friday, he says he's a Muslim. He will close at 12 o'clock. He comes 9 o'clock, and he closed at 12. That 2 hours that he was there, he did not take one paper to read it, to say, okay, what do we have to do with this paper today? If you go to the United States Port Authority, people are working like jackass. They are doing like 18 hours a day. 24/7 people are working. If you go to any European port, people are working like jackass. Okay, but go to Nigeria, the custom officers are working 4 hours a day, and it's not even efficient. It is even a wonder that anything that is shipped to Nigeria is even cleared. But what problem does that create? That means that before anybody that brings a vehicle or anything to Nigeria, you must pay a demurrage. There must be demurrage. I remember bringing a tractor into Nigeria, 2 tractors. It took a month to clear, and we had to pay $500,000 naira as demurrage to the what do you call this company again? I forgot the name of this company, but they are in charge of the port. Big Italian company, Grimandi. That's the name of the company, Grimandi. I was so upset with Grimandi because I had to pay them $500,000 demurrage. I said, how do you calculate your demurrage? They say it's by weight. Yeah. So you mean his tractor take more space than a container. But why? It is all what we are doing in Africa is because, and people call it different things, laziness, they call it different things. But the fact is that all the problems that are being created by the black people they created it for themselves. It's a problem of the people, by the people, and for the people. So, that is it. And the churches have a duty, a human and Christian duty, responsibility to talk to the members of their churches like I'm talking now and wean people out of this behavior. Teach people new behavior that allows them to grow as human beings, to love each other, to shun spiritism, superstition, to let them become Christ-like, to have dignity of labor, to work hard, and don't call people who are working hard mumu. You know, it is the duty of the pastors in Nigeria. Do you know that all the churches in Nigeria today, if they should start teaching the people the same thing that I'm teaching now, in a year, Nigeria will double the GDP of Nigeria will increase by at least 20%. This is what I have come up with. I call it the 10% more and the 10% less. It's Aroms' theory. This is how the theory goes. The 10% more is because there's so little productivity going on with black people, especially the black Africans in Nigeria, if they should just produce 10% more, 10% more, and because there's so much bad things going on, so much corruption, so much cheating and lying, if they just lie and cheat and corrupt 10% less, okay, you will have 20% economic growth. Seriously. And because the situation is so bad, it is not even difficult to do the 10% more. Somebody that is not working, somebody that is working 4 hours a day, it's not difficult to work 10% more. Absolutely not. 10% more is not even an hour. It's not even 30 minutes. It's like, it's like 20 minutes to say, okay, look, 10% more a day for somebody that is productive for 4 hours is 20 minutes. 20 minutes. 10% more of somebody that is late half an hour a day, say you go 10% earlier now, it's not a big deal. When people just put in 10% more effort than they are doing today, then Nigeria will gain 10% in their GDP. We have a GDP of 400 billion right now, so 10% of it is 40 billion. If Nigerians should just do 10% less bad things, we are at under 40 billion, so you have 80 billion GDP in 1 year. Repeat it for another 2-3 years, Nigeria will just wake up. Now, that is only by doing a little bit more, 10%. In Europe and America, people are trying to scrape out 1%. You see in a board meeting, directors will be cracking brain with experts. Come. Next year, let's have a goal. Let's try to make 1% more. 1% more profit. So people will say, okay, look, that's why they came up with this 1% theory. Let's see how we can scrape out 1% everywhere. So let's improve things 1% everywhere. 1%, because things are so precise here. You look at your phone. If your phone is 1% bad, it won't work. So now, imagine you are in a company that you make phones, and your director say, we have to squeeze out 1%. We want to make it better with everything will be better with 1%. So the one that is making the camera, 1%. The one that is doing is 1%. The one that is doing that 1%. Everybody squeeze that 1%. By the time they have squeezed that out that 1%, they say, we have iPhone 9. Guess who are the first people to go and pay for the iPhone 9? The black people. The little money they have, they go and give it to iPhone. Guess who the next people who are making millions from the iPhone? People like Mr. Aroms, because we buy share from Apple. So that is how money is siphoned from the poor to the rich. And it goes on and on and on. It's because of ignorance of the poor people, lack of hard work, and the pastors are promoting all this ignorance. So that is what the pastors need to understand. Now, I say, okay, look, if we talk about 10% less bad things, or most of the policemen in Nigeria, maybe half of them are Christians. Christians, and we all know the atrocities that are done by Nigerian police people. Do you know that the police go and pay tithes from the money they take from the bribe they take from people to the pastors? Some pastors even have the audacity to ask the policeman, say, now only this money you gave for last week. It's not the salary, it is the brute force, the extortion. Police are extorting money from citizens. It is this extortion that the pastor is now asking the police, now only this one you get last week. Now try to imagine Jesus, now in that position, asking the policeman, say, now only this one you get last week. So personally, I say, okay, if police just cheat 10% less, if police just extort 10% less, if you see, it is in all categories. If the pastor just teach people to be 10% more good, 10% less evil, Nigeria will just come out of the mess in 2 or 3 years. And if you keep teaching that doctrine, one day you will come to the state they are in Europe and America, that you now start scraping at 1%. That good you are. Then the life of everybody is already good. So you try to scrape at 1%. People who go to school don't study. Let them just study 10% more. People who read, people don't read. Just read 10% more. Okay? In my last video, because they told me to make long videos anymore. In the last video, I'm going to be giving you a blueprint on how to really start changing your life, no matter who you are. Even when you're a pastor, you can change. You're not condemned. You just have to go and do the right thing. And you might even be surprised that if you do the right thing, you will make more money. People will even give you more money. Okay? So if you're an ordinary Nigerian, I'm going to be giving you a blueprint on how to start transforming your life. You know, and you need to follow this blueprint, because I won't be teaching the whole blueprint, because it's a very big teaching. I'll be telling you where to get the information, how to get it, and how to work out your time. And I also tell you how to get out from the church. Yeah, that is the true story. That is true, because you cannot be going to the church and wasting your time every day and expect to achieve anything with your life. I'm not saying don't go to church. I'm not saying don't pray, but everything in life has to be put in proportion. Because if your car is not in proportion, it doesn't drive straight. If your phone is not in proportion, it won't work. If your economy is not in proportion, it won't work. If your brain is not in the right proportion, you will never make 1 naira. If everything in life needs to be in proportion. So what I'm going to be doing is just give you a blueprint, how to put this thing in the proportion, so that you can start, you know where to go and look for the right information and improve your life. So that one day you can also have $1 million on your bank account. I know for a lot of people that is impossible. $1 million. $1 million is not that big, honestly, it's not that big. So it's just that you don't know how to do it. You don't know where to start. You have been told somebody carry hammer hitting your head, that you can never do that. That is why you have not done it. So now you need somebody like me who chiseled that out from your head, that you cannot do that, and a hammer new one in your head, say you can do that. And then you see how fast it goes. So thank you very much for listening. I see that a lot of people have been patient. They follow me to the end. And I hope you got something out of this conversation. Yes, this is the true story. This is how it rolls. This is how the world was built. This is how Europe was built. This is what America was built. And for those people who could tell it to me, the white man has disadvantage of, the white man do this, not lie. Not lie. The white man has never prevented me from doing what I wanted to do, number one. And number two, I have taught so many white people what to do. And they did it and they became successful as well. So who is teaching who? Thank you very much for listening. Have a nice day.